what do you get when you mix a cafe classic, a blueberry muffin, with a home classic, an apple crumble, or you get a blueberry muffin with crumble topping? Here, today, on Tom Brown's Kitchen, I'm going to teach you how. Let's go. So, first things first, we're going to make that crumble topping, which is a mixture of walnuts, brown sugar, and cinnamon. So we're going to get it into our food processor, just like this. Chuck it in there. Nice dose of brown sugar, in you go. And some cinnamon for good measure. All goes in there. And we're just going to blitz that up into a crumble. Now you can use a food processor. I'm using my blender here because it has a pulse setting. Give it a shake just to loosen those bits up again, making sure it all mixes together. Okay, that looks about right. So you've got your crumble mixture there. Should be little bits of nuts mixed through, but mostly it should be fine, just like this. Now that'll give it that topping on this moist muffin. So just back into a bowl like that. And we'll set that aside for later because we'll be topping our muffins with those. Next, you will be getting your flour, which I have already sieved through a fine sieve just to get those lumps out. I recommend doing the same. Pinch of salt, baking powder, and baking soda, all in. And you're just going to take a whisk and you're just going to gently mix that through just to combine the ingredients. You don't have to go too crazy here. Just combining those nicely together. Do it. Setting that back aside again. Okay, well, here comes the fun part. We're going to put all of these wet ingredients together, starting by creaming the sugar and butter into a bowl. So, grabbing a nice sturdy bowl. If you have one with a rubber bottom, it's good. It won't move around too much. But if not, you can put it on top of a tea towel. And you're going to put in your room temperature butter. Just like that. So, quick chef tip. If you have good butter, you can leave that out all the time and it will stay nice and soft. You don't have to refrigerate butter as long as there's a cover over it. And as long as the full cream dairy proponent is high, above 80%, you should be fine. So after that, whacking in your caster sugar, brown sugar, making sure you get all that extra butter off there. Okay. Now, using a mixer, if you have a food processor at home or a proper mixer, you can use that. Or, as I'm using here, because we're on a budget, a stick blender from Kmart, 12 bucks, gets the job done. So, I'm going to whip this together until it's creamed. I'll see you in a minute with the finished product of the creamed sugar and butter combo and the rest of the steps. So once you've creamed your butter and sugar together, it should look something like this. Now the amount that you cream it is up to you. Some people like a little bit of a sugary crunch in there. I like it fully creamed, so it gets the fluffiest texture in those muffins. But once you've got it to that point, you're going to take 2 eggs and you're going to crack them in, just like that. making sure not to spill any shell in, and if you do, you can always use the other half of the shell, or any half of the shell really, to pull it out, because the shell does try and get away from your fingertips, but another shell, it sucks it straight in. Old chef trick right there. Get that, and 1 egg yolk. So separate your egg into there. You're gonna just push in just the yolk. I've just broken the yolk a little bit, so just as much of that yolk as you can, just to give it a little bit more creaminess again. Right, now back to mixing. Just want to get that together just enough. You don't want to overmix this bit. Just making sure that the consistency is even across. Now it should look a little bit like a mousse at this stage, and I'm going to continue making this with my whisk, just so we can all hear me talking. But we're going to go with the rest of our wet ingredients now. So I like to use my spatula just to bring those down from the edge to make sure that I've incorporated that all together. And then I'm going to add my sour cream. And some vanilla extract. Just mix that all together. So it's folding it all together. And then I'm going to slowly add in my flour. For this I'll use my whisk. Now the most ideal way to do this would be to using a whisk on a power mixer of some description, and you can just set it and forget it. But I'm going to just mix it in a little bit at a time. Maybe in thirds. Now, like with any floury cake mixture, you don't want to overwork this. You just want to get those ingredients all together. And it should be a fairly dry mixture, so don't be too worried if it starts taking on a bread dough kind of consistency. There are a lot of moist ingredients in there that'll keep it fluffy when you bake it. So if you are using an automatic mixer, I would be just wary of over mixing it. So maybe 2 minutes worth of mixing, scraping it down from the sides with a whisk, if you have a whisk with a rubberized edge like that, or you can go back to using your spatula. So just pulling it down from the edge, making sure that all those dry ingredients are in there. They're stuck to the side, like so. And continuing on. And as you can see, it's starting to get a nice consistency, nice and smooth. We're just going to finish that flour in there. Now just gently, you don't want to be getting a face full of flour. This is usually where people start to mix a little bit too much, and right on the face there. We used to call that antiquing in the kitchen, because you look like an antique statue. Now add in a little bit of your milk. Now you don't have to use all your milk. You can use all of it if you want, depending on how you want the consistency of the muffin to be. I've got about 60 mils of milk here. I'm going to probably add half. Give it a stir and see how I feel about it after that. Now I've put all of the ingredients and the recipe down below in the description. This recipe will be fine if you just dump these all together after you've creamed that butter and let it mix together. You don't have to worry too much about these little nuances that I'm doing, but there is a specific texture I'm looking for with these muffins, and with humidity and other things it can change. Alright, that looks great. That consistency is very good. If you can run it over the top and it leaves a shape, that's about right there. Off to the side, back with my trusty spatula. Now, blueberries, fold them in gently. beautiful color to that. Now you can stop at a swirl, so there's still some color of that mixture in there and some blue around it. It will give the muffin a little bit of a color change. It will look quite impressive. So set that to the side. So we're going to get our muffin tray and we're going to put some liners in there. If you don't have any liners, you can put some butter in there. My recommendation with the butter is that you line it with butter, freeze it, and then line it one more time with some more butter before you put your mixture in. That way it's really making sure that those won't stick. Don't be shy with this mixture, filling these mostly to the top because this will weigh it down once you sprinkle it on the top. So I'm just going to go ahead and using a spoon, filling these up. So this muffin mix is enough to make 12 to 18 muffins depending on the dish size and depth. So now that you've filled those up, giving this little chop through with the spoon, you're going to get a good amount like this, just over the top you go. Like that. I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised by how these taste. It's such a great combination. Like I said, make sure to fill these up as much as you want all the way to the top. This will weigh it down. Now, I have my oven preheated to 210 degrees Celsius. I'm going to chuck these in for 5 minutes at 210 degrees, then bring that temperature down 20 to 30 degrees for the remainder of the cook time. Altogether, it should be 15 to 20 minutes. You want to poke a knife through to check, and if it comes out clean, you're ready to eat. I'm going to put them in. I'm going to see you soon. And a short 15 minutes later, here you go. You've got your delicious muffins ready to go. Now they should be a little bit more brown on top than your regular muffins that are golden because of that crumble on top. So we're just gonna get these out. Now you can dump them out upside down or you can take them out individually. Just be careful with your fingers. Beautiful. They smell so good. All right, now the time we've all been waiting for the last 15 minutes. Let's get one of these suckers out onto a plate. Now you can wait 10 to 15 minutes, 20 to let them cool down. But I like my muffins fresh out of the oven, nice and hot. With these muffins, because the blueberries are quite heavy, they will fall to the bottom. So it gives it a nice texture. One side is crispy and crumbly with that sugary walnut crisp, and the other side is gooey and juicy with the sauce and the flavors of the muffin and the blueberries. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see on the bottom, those blueberries have just formed up nicely to create a kind of sauce. So they're not your average muffin, they're more like a delicacy. They're more of a cake. So just cut that in half, like that, as you can see. Beautiful, tender, soft, crispy on top still, with that crisp. And when you take a bite of this, you're gonna fall in love straight away. Now, if you wanna make 12 of them at a time and put them in the freezer, there is no problem. They go perfectly in a freezer. So you can cook all 12 and you can chuck them in the freezer, microwave them, let them defrost over the course of a day, get a little bit of whipped butter or just nice butter, just a touch, give it a little spread. just like that. Let that soak in. And what you have here is a delicious homemade restaurant quality muffin that you can impress all your friends with. So that's Tom Brown's Kitchen. Recipe is down below. Method is down below. Like and subscribe for more content. Now go away, make your own. This is mine. And I'm gonna eat a bite right now.
See you next time in Tom's Kitchen. Like and subscribe.